Why would Google, a several hundred employee 5-year-old internet startup based in Mountain View, California, be competing with Finland, a country of 5 million people that was over 5,000 miles away and generally considered to be a friendly, peaceful place? The Finland email arrived just when Eric felt like he was finally settling in to Google. He had come from Novell, where he had been the CEO, and had also worked at Sun Microsystems and Bell Labs. After growing up in Northern Virginia, he graduated from Princeton with a degree in electrical engineering and received a master's degree and PhD in computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. So not only was he no stranger to working with engineers and computer scientists, he was one. Still, when he got to Google, he stepped into a place very different from anywhere else he had been. His "I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore" revelation started on his first day. When he arrived at the office that had been assigned to him, which was already quite modest by big-shot CEO standards, he found that it was occupied by several software engineers. Rather than kicking them out, he decamped to the next office over, which was more of a closet with a window than an actual office. Then a few weeks later, it got worse. One morning, as he walked down the hall to his closet office, he noticed that his assistant, Pam Shore, had a troubled look on her face. For Pam, anything other than a warm smile counts as troubled. He soon found out why. He had a new office mate. It was one of the search engineers, Amit Patel, who explained to Eric that his office had 5 inhabitants, with another on the way, and that his solution of sawing one of the desks in half to make more space hadn't worked. In comparison to his current space, Eric's spot seemed quite roomy, so Amit moved in. The facilities crew had refused to move Amit's stuff into Eric's office, so he'd done it himself. Amit and Eric ended up sharing the office for several months. Clearly, this was not a measure your importance in square feet kind of place. Beyond the unusual facilities arrangements, the rest of Eric's transition into the company was fairly smooth. His relationship with the 2 co-founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, was strengthening every day. The company's advertising platform, AdWords, was starting to generate significant amounts of revenue. When the company filed for its initial public offering in 2004, the financial statements astonished most observers, in a good way. And even though Google as a verb wouldn't be added to the Oxford English Dictionary for another 3 years, for millions of users, Google Search was already an important part of everyday life. The company was growing too, adding dozens of employees every month, including a new head of products, Jonathan Rosenberg, who came on board in February of 2002. Jonathan, like Eric, was the son of an economics professor. He joined Google after stints at Excite@Home and Apple to build up the company's product management team and round out Eric's staff. As Mike's email pointed out, though, there was a major competitor on the horizon, and it wasn't really our Nordic friends across the Atlantic. Finland was our internal code name for Microsoft, at the time the most important tech company on the planet. In fact, Finland is a code name for the code name we actually used. If we used the actual code name in this book, it wouldn't be much of a code name, would it? Eric knew that a huge chunk of Google's traffic came from people using Microsoft's Internet Explorer browser. Like everyone at Google, he believed that the Internet was the technology platform of the future, and that search was one of its most useful applications. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before our friends from Redmond would take a real interest in what we were doing. And when Microsoft took a real interest in things startups were doing, things had a way of getting really interesting. The future of the company was at stake, and what to do was far from obvious. Maritz's note was a call to action. He'd asked Eric to rally the team and create a plan that would establish clear deliverables across the company: product, sales, marketing, finance, and corporate development. Every aspect of how Google operated was on the table, and there was even talk about transitioning the company from its quirky startup structure to a more traditional one organized around business units to make it easier to develop new revenue streams, another thing the new plan was supposed to address. Most important, the plan needed to establish milestones and a roadmap of which products would ship and when. In short, Maritz wanted what any sensible, normal board member would want: a comprehensive business plan. He closed the note with a flourish. So why not pick an evening in mid-August to mark the completion